Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Engaging
Yes.
Moms webinar. You ready for this, Cicely?
I think so. I think so. I have been it's been circled on my calendar in red ink. So I think I'm pretty excited, right? How about you?
I am so excited. My name is Aubrey Sampson. I am an author and a speaker and a pastor, but more than that, what matters today, Cicely, is I'm a mom of three boys. You're a boy mama too. Am I right about that?
You are right. Yes. Boy moms rule and rock. Yes. I'm Cicely Corey, by the way. I am the editorial director for Barna Group. And man, it's really good to be here, especially since I got to be a part of the editorial team for some of the research that is driving this time together today. So yeah.
We cannot wait to hear your research in just a minute. Hey, everybody, be sure to drop your name and location in the chat. We want to know who is with us today. Mother's Day is coming up very, very soon. It is the most,
Wait, is
it's coming up like
it?
it's in like 2 Sundays from
Oh
now.
my goodness. Yeah, that's like right there, right?
It's so unbelievable. We've got folks from Nashville and Brooklyn and Alabama. So glad that you're here. Oh, Edmond, Oklahoma, I see that's my hometown. Mother's Day is the third most attended Sunday in the church calendar. And that's wild to me. It is an awesome day. It's a day where people have to do what their moms say. So that's why I
Yeah.
like Mother's Day, don't you think, Cicely? And it is an incredible Sunday, pastors, church leaders, to equip your moms and to engage the whole family. And so this webinar
Absolutely.
is really in anticipation of that, in
Yeah.
anticipation of Mother's Day. Now, it's primarily for pastors and church leaders, but we want you to know everyone is welcome. And mamas, if you are here, we want to hear from you. Please be in the chat. Please be active. Share your insights with us because really what you have to say really matters. All right. I'm a church planner, so I'm planning my Mother's Day service. I want to know in the chat, we'll do a quick poll. Who already has their Mother's Day service totally planned? I want to know if it's planned. I want to know if
Oh,
yeah. Okay, let us know. You have 5 seconds. You totally got this. You're planned. You're still working on it. No, send help.
let's
It's
see if
Mother's Day.
who are the overachievers and very prepared folks in our group, right? I wouldn't be on this list for sure.
Okay, we've got some in processes here. I love it. I love it. That's real. That's honest. I am really, really excited because we're going to provide some fantastic Mother's Day resources for you later on in today's program. Some of these are resources that I've already utilized for my church service. We'll share more about that with you later, but I do have to say, Cicely, I watched a couple of the
Mhm.
videos that we have as resources for moms, and no
Yeah.
one prepared me. Like I was sobbing. So these
I
are
know you were not
good.
alone. I'm like, oh my gosh. Somehow I became a mom and became like, a water fest. I'm crying about everything. But
So
yes, they're
real.
so touching. Yeah.
Oh, they're so, so good. Well,
Yeah.
we have an incredible day for you today. Cicely, you want to tell people what they can expect?
Absolutely. Yes. So, of course, we're going to have some insights from the MomCo, but we're also I'm going to be doing a research presentation, sharing some of the data with you all. We're
Can't
going to
wait for
have
that.
some reactions from moms on the key findings that I'm going to be sharing. And we're also going to hear from Mandy, good grief. See, I knew that was going to happen. I always do that with Mandy's name. I combine her first and last name,
Oh,
Mandy
yeah.
Ariado, who is the CEO of the MomCo by Moms International. She's going to have just a recorded session video that we've got with her sharing some insights, and really you get to see the heart behind this research, the heart behind this work, and what we really want you all to take away when it comes to engaging moms. So,
Oh,
oh, and I almost forgot, we've got a panel of pastors at the end, the very end. So you got to stay on. Don't go grab lunch or eat and be here too, right? Because you do
yes,
not
eat
want to
lunch
miss the
while you're
pastor panel that
listening.
we have at the end of this. Yeah, for sure.
Gonna be so, so good. Hey, and to help you support the moms that you care for and that you shepherd, the moms that are in your ministry, MomCo and Right Now Media created a brand new video series. It just released yesterday. It's actually called Reclaiming Motherhood. embracing the untamed beauty, fun, passion, and vitality of motherhood. I'm a mom, Cicely, you're a mom. We know
Mm-hmm.
that the precious moms in our congregation can just
Yes,
get, it's not their fault, but the reality of motherhood is they can get stuck in that draining, repetitive, day in, day
absolutely,
out reality
absolutely.
of parenting. And that's why it is so important for us to offer a resource to equip you as leaders in your church so that you can support this crucial subset of your ministry, moms. And so with research insights from Barna, this series, Reclaiming Motherhood, will leave moms feeling seen and known and encouraged and equipped and just acknowledged by you. The series is available in the Right Now Media video library for Right Now Media subscribers. So for
Mm-hmm.
subscribing organizations, you can actually get the video right now. If you're not a subscriber, visit rightnowmedia.org and you can learn how to equip your church with this resource, with other Bible study and discipleship resources as well. Hey, so speaking of Mandy Ariada, we are so excited. We're going to hear a few opening remarks from her. If you don't know Mandy, she's the CEO of the MomCo by MOPS International, and she's going to talk about the power moms have today and why caring for moms matters.
So when my kids were little, I frequently traveled with them by myself. And when I would get on a plane with like a baby strapped to my front and a toddler trailing behind me, it was like no one would make eye contact with me, right? Like they'd be sitting there thinking, please don't sit by me, please don't sit by me, which is completely understandable, like no judgment really. But here's the deal. When my very capable husband travels with kids by himself and walks on an airplane with a kid strapped to his chest and a toddler trailing behind him, everybody on the airplane is like, "Aw." And then during the flight, people will walk up to him from like 20 rows back and they're like, "I just wanted to make sure you're doing okay. Do you need any snacks? Like I brought an extra game. I just need you to know, like, you are really impressive." And my husband and I laugh about this all the time. And here's the deal. I appreciate and so respect the differences between moms and dads because both are so important. But today, as we think about Mother's Day coming up, I want to look at the untapped potential that is likely sitting in your church. So I regularly get asked to speak at corporate conferences with marketing execs from Fortune 500 companies. And you might be thinking, why would a Christian leader of a nonprofit that works with moms be invited to share? The reason is because over the past 5 years, these major corporations have become convinced that moms are some of the most influential people on the planet. In fact, I was at an event about a year ago, and I was listening to the speaker who was going on before me, and this is verbatim what he told the audience. He said, "We have made a strategic shift to focus all of our marketing dollars on reaching moms." And he said the reason is because it's effective. He said moms influence everything from what brands of detergent gets purchased to what religion families practice. He said moms are evangelists. And if you want the fastest, smartest, and most efficient method for spreading a message, start with the moms. And that was a marketing exec at Unilever Corporation. I just love that, how he said that moms are evangelists. And if you want the fastest, smartest, and most efficient method for spreading a message, you start with the moms. And so I want to show you a couple of sets of data that marketers are looking at to inform their opinion. So first, what marketers know is that moms influence economies. So here are a couple of stats. US moms control 85% of household purchases, and their spending power is $2.4 trillion. And just to give you a kind of a framework for what that means, that's more than France or Italy or Canada's GDP. Second, according to a recent study done by the UN, one of the most effective ways to raise a community out of poverty is to resource the moms. And in addition to that, Barna did this really brilliant study. It was called The Influence of Moms in Christian Households. And what they found was that teens consistently identify their mom as their primary partner for almost all activities. So that means eating meals together, watching TV or movies, talking about God. And the only time that mothers are not primarily their key partner is when it comes to activities like interacting on social media or playing sports, which completely makes sense. But the other thing that we see at MOPS is that 88% of moms say that the first place they look for recommendations on purchases or advice on life is from other moms. And finally, in relation to faith, 77% of adults say that their mom is one of the most important and influential people in their faith life. And this stat gets me every time. 82% of families say they started going to church because mom decided it was important. And so, if you want kids to show up at church, you start with the mom. If you want to alleviate poverty or reach teens or influence how dollars get spent, or most importantly, if you want to create an exponential movement of people who are recommending Jesus, you start with the moms. See, if brands like Google and Amazon and Unilever and Dove and Chick-fil-A and Dole have all made utilizing mom's innate influence a major focus of their outreach efforts, what would it look like for the church to as well? Because when we reach moms, it is exponential evangelism. See, when a mom meets Jesus, her kids do as well. And I am convinced, and what we're seeing at MOPS, is that a movement is being sparked around the globe. And we're convinced that this next Jesus movement is starting with the moms. It reminds me of that verse in 2 Timothy 1:5. And we read where Paul, who's sitting in a jail cell, writes a letter to his friend Timothy, and it's passed through the bars of the cell. And Paul's sensing that this may be one of his final messages to Timothy. And what does Paul remind Timothy of? The faith of his mom and his grandma. Paul says, I remember your genuine faith, for you share that faith that was first filled by your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice. And he's saying your faith is a reflection of their faith. And now I don't know anything about Lois or Eunice, but I do know something about mothers and grandmothers. They are the ones who hold on to faith when we are too weary to hold on for ourselves. They're the ones who mend our wounds and remind us that we're going to be okay, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. And when we need a reminder of the generational potential of faith, we can look to the moms. So to close, it's the summer of 1920, in what has been arguably the hottest month in decades in Nashville. And the famous Hermitage Hotel is just packed to the brim with legislators and lawyers and journalists and women who have traveled from across the US. And everyone in the hotel is wearing either a yellow or red rose on their lapel. Here's why. See, 40 years earlier, before everyone descended on the Hermitage Hotel, Congress voted on a 14th Amendment that would give slaves the right to vote. And as the amendment was drafted, women across the US were convinced that this was the moment in history where they too would get the privilege of voting. But at the very last minute, right before the official decision, the word male was added to the amendment, and women were denied the right to vote. And it stayed that way for another 40 years. That is, until June 4th, 1919, when Congress voted to add 39 words to the Constitution. Those 39 simple words were also known as the 19th Amendment, which would give women the right to vote. Which brings us to the Hermitage Hotel and the lawyers and legislators and women who had descended on Nashville, where the final vote was going to take place to pass the 19th Amendment. And everybody was wearing a rose on their lapel. And the people with the yellow rose supported women's right to vote. And those wearing a red rose were voting against it. And so, on the morning of August 18th, 1920, the hotel that was currently packed begins to thin out as legislators begin to make their way to Union Station, where the final vote was going to be held. And having counted roses that morning, the suffragists, the women fighting for the amendment to pass, knew that they were in trouble. Like, it was not looking good. And Carrie Chapman Clark, the leader of the movement, decided to actually stay behind at the hotel because, as she told her friends, the only thing that we can do now is pray. So, a few blocks away at Union Station, 96 legislators take their seats, and one by one, each man stands up when they're called on, and they cast their vote. Those with the yellow rose would say yay in support of women's right to vote, and those wearing the red would say nay. So the vote starts and proceeds until it was Henry Burns' turn. So everybody called him Harry T. Burns. He was from Nyota, Tennessee, and he was the youngest legislator in the House. And newspaper stories about him, which are fascinating to read, say that he was small in stature and serious in disposition, and he tended to be the kind of person who blended into the background. He wasn't really one to make a scene or stand out in a crowd. Well, Harry stands to cast his vote wearing a red rose in his lapel. But in his pocket, no one knows, he has a telegram from his mom in Nyota. And his mom, her name was Feb Byrne, has written her son this ordinary letter that any other mom might have written her son, but it's filled with details about the family farm and updates on the neighbors. But tucked in to all of those mundane details about life in Nyota, there's one sentence, and it says, "Son, been reading about the suffrage fight in the papers and haven't seen your name anywhere. Don't forget to be a good boy and help Mrs. Cat out. Vote for suffrage and don't keep them in doubt. Love, Mama." So Harry stands up and votes yay. And everyone is shocked. They are silent. They can't believe what just happened because Harry changed his vote. And women have just been given the right to vote. And chaos erupts. There's actually a legend, you can read about this, that says that everybody's so livid, the anti-suffragists are so livid that they chase him out of the building and he has to jump out of a window and hide in the Capitol Library. But 6 days later, the 19th Amendment becomes a national law. And so men, your wives and daughters, and ladies, you and I, have the right to vote because Feb Byrne sent her son a note. And the remarkable thing about all of this, to me, has nothing to do with politics. It's the fact that moms can influence the world simply by living their everyday lives. And so, may this be a season where you intentionally mobilize the moms in your community. May you see women who are searching flock to your church in droves. May you find refreshment and joy as new creative and fun methods of outreach take shape. And may this Mother's Day spark a movement of revival in your church and in your city. Amen, and let it be so.
Wow. Yes. Amen. And let it be so. I love to hear Mandy speak. She's got the passion and the heart for this work that, just really makes it that much more impactful. And I got a little teary listening to that story. It's my first time watching that video. But again, getting teary because we see time and time again the great influence that moms have, and even in the smallest of ways, how we can influence others. And so now we're going to dive into some data to, drive the ideas and the response that you have to the charge that Mandy just gave. Okay. So grab your notebooks. If you're like me, you're old school, pen, paper. Shout out to the MomCo for the swag, the notebook swag, but grab your notebooks, grab your pens. We're gonna dive right into the research to see what we have learned. All right. So one of the big things about the report that Barna did in partnership with the MomCo called Motherhood Today, true to its name, we really wanted to help leaders answer the question, what does motherhood look like today? In 2024, what are moms needing? What are they desiring? What are we seeing? And one of the biggest things, Mandy mentioned it, alluded to it, I'm going to say it again. Mothers are evangelists, forming the faith of the next generation. Again and again in our data throughout our research, we have seen the influence and the impact of moms on their children. Here are some data points to kind of back that up. So practicing Christian teens, right? So these are the teenagers who are very devout in their faith, probably really involved in faith community. We asked them who in their household or who in their community is helping them with who do they turn to for fill in the blank, right? Two key responses here. When it comes to questions about their faith, when it comes to the Bible, most practicing Christian teens, 62% and 61% respectively, are saying that they are most likely to talk to their mothers. Now, this is no dig to anyone else on, on this list, right? Fathers are great, brothers and sisters are great, Nana and Papa are great, close friends are great, but moms are really front of mind for the practicing Christian teens when it comes to talking about their faith and talking about the Bible. We also see that mothers are disciple makers. Okay, so they're showing the next generation how to grow in their faith. Again, we ask practicing Christian teens, which member of your household or your community helps you to work through the following, right? And we see again, by and large, moms are front of mind. Moms are the ones that teenagers are turning to. 80% say that their mom encourages them to go to church, right? Some of us have that testimony, right? Mom waking you up. It's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever your alarm clock was. The alarm clock was usually mom telling you to get out of bed. It's time to go, right? 75% of practicing Christian teens also say that their mom talks to them about God's forgiveness. And also 53% say that their mom teaches them about the Bible. So these are really true Christian life and practice, the things that are driving our Christian life and practice, right? And moms are really helping their teens sort through these things. We also see, now this is a really big one here, and probably one of the driving points behind this webinar, one of the driving points behind the work that we do, right? And why we are here today. We say that mothers are notably underserved by the church, according to Barna data. And so we asked moms, is your church giving you resources? Is your church providing you any sort of assistance or help that is specifically intended to help support you as a mother? 47%, 47%, say it with me, 47% of moms say that their church has never provided them with material specifically intended to help support them as a mother. And we also see that pastors agree that they could be doing more to engage the moms in their faith community. Among pastors, just 21% say my church is serving mothers well. And we see that over half of pastors say that their church could do a better job at serving mothers. And so here are 3 insights to consider when engaging moms in your church, okay? We see that in the data that fewer than half of mothers feel content and emotionally safe within their community. Okay, so this was a really big one for the Barna team. It caught us off guard because we all have our mom friends, right? Well, I do. Moms are in community. They have friends, but you can be in community and still be experiencing feelings of loneliness, feelings of isolation, feelings of wanting to be more deeply connected to those around you. And we see that to be true among mothers. Here, you'll see that on all of these responses, none of them are crossing the halfway mark. 34% of mothers say, my community supports me as a mother. Here's one, 20% of mothers, just 20% of mothers say, I have a positive influence over what my community is like. I trust my community to care for my children. Just 30% of mothers say that. Or I trust my community with my faults and weaknesses, 20%. And then you'll also see that there is not really much difference between Christian mothers and non-Christian mothers. And so faith community, this is happening even in faith community. In your church, this could be so, that mothers are in community, but we cannot assume that they are satisfied or feeling fulfilled within that community. Also, when it comes to their relationships, so if you have, grandkids, if you're a aunt or an uncle, or and you've got a mom that you call sometimes, and the first thing you say is, how are the kids? Or let me just talk to the kids. My sister does that all the time. Those are things, and no, those people mean no harm, but it's one of those things where moms, their children are first, but we see that other things, other areas in their life are beginning to suffer some. I am a boy mom. I said that at the top of this webinar, right? My boys are the best in the world. I'm sorry if you have boys, and because mine are really, they're it. Okay, they're better than any other boys out there. That's how I view them, and absolutely 1000%, I would say that I am very satisfied with my relationship with my children. But then check out the bottom of this list: financial health, 14%. Our moms say that they are very satisfied with their financial health. Their career, among working moms, 20% say they're very satisfied with their careers. And then here's another big one, excuse me, mental health. 21%, only 21% of moms say they're very satisfied with their mental health. And this is really this decline that we see when we go from children all the way down to financial health. This is the decline that we see, and how churches, there's an opportunity for the church and for Christian community to really help moms find deeper meaning, deeper value, deeper understanding beyond this, right? Also, mothers tend to say that Christian mothers don't believe that they can meaningfully contributing to the world on a regular basis. Just 21% of mothers say this. So we talk about the influence of moms, but here we are, moms don't really see the influence and the impact that they have on the world around them. We also see that mothers feel held back, and they often pull away from the church as a result. Okay. We asked, moms, have you ever felt held back because of your gender? 38% say this to be true, but see the increase when we ask them, have you ever felt held back because you are a mother? We see that more than half say that they have felt held back. Imagine, one of the things that brings you the greatest joy is also one of the things that, makes you feel like you might be missing out on something else that's out there. And then, of course, we see the decline in many mothers who we see a decline in mothers who once went to church before they became a mom, and now there's a decline in how often they go to church. We see that decline from 21% who say they were very involved in church before becoming a mother, and then 15% say they were very involved in church after becoming a mother. And this is more than, getting the children ready for getting the kids ready for, church and things of that sort. It also is about, pressure that they may feel that their children are going to do well, pressure that they may be judged as a mother. Those are some other things that we see in the data. And so here we are, the marathon race to this point. 3 ways the church can better serve and shepherd mothers. Number 1, ensure communities for mothers are safe, authentic, and supportive. Number 2, disciple mothers holistically. We are more than moms. We have other things that we desire, other things that we enjoy, other purpose to our lives, even if motherhood is a significant purpose that God gave us. And then thirdly, provide equal opportunities for the moms in your life. Mother's ministry is different than women's ministry and children's ministry. And we want to make sure that we're providing the right resources that speak to a mom's life space. Woo! All right, we got through it. Now I want to be able to transition Kelly Smith, who is the VP of Marketing and Church Engagement at the MomCo. Really love Kelly. She recently sat down with 3 amazing moms to process this research and hear their response. And so we're going to take a moment to listen in on some of their reflections for the data.
Yeah, the stat that really stood out to me was that 21% of Christian moms feel they are meaningfully contributing to the world on a regular basis, and then 19% of moms overall. And I went into motherhood, I was working full time. I moved to part time, eventually staying at home when I had 2 kids. And I really did feel like my world shrunk and that my offerings to the world were very minimal because I was covered in spit up and changing diapers, and I was at home a lot with my children. And I just didn't feel like those tasks, the caring for my children, was life changing or world changing. And I really feel like a need that moms have is to know that however they are mothering, whether they're working full time or staying at home or some combination, that they are contributing to the world by raising their children, by discipling them, by loving them and caring for them. And I think that churches do a great job of this around Mother's Day, where we're sitting in this time of year right now, but moms need to know that on a regular basis, not just one particular Sunday in May.
Yeah, I agree. That stat sticks with me as one of the most powerful, just because I crave deep in my depths that we are as contributing to society in a meaningful way and changing the world. And so I completely agree with you. That's a hard disconnect as you're in those early years, especially of motherhood. Lori, what sticks out to you?
You know, it's interesting. I feel like all the insight resonates with me, but what struck a chord with me was the statistics of 47% of churches do not provide materials specifically intended to help support women as mothers. And I can say this has been my experience in the church that I'm planted in right now. I love our pastor. He walks us through the word. He partners with us in growing maturity and our wisdom and building our faith. And he's always pointing us to our one more. But as a mother, I need a community of moms who understand my struggles and victories, because statistically speaking, this group is the most influential sphere in their household to lead their family to Jesus, but we're also suffering with loneliness, and we're surviving the demands of post-pandemic change and walking through emotions of anger and defeat. And that feels like an all-time high amongst my mom group that I talk to. And I have to hear, I want everyone to hear me clearly that I feel like discipleship groups are necessary and they're impactful. But if we're not connecting with the mom holistically in this season of deep change for their family dynamic, we can at best keep her engaged, but not fully recognizing her potential as a leader of the kingdom. And at worst, losing her altogether and missing out on a population of women who may bring her family to the church, directing them to the abundant life. And personally, I'm straddling going from one church that I love and believe in and is bringing people to Jesus, but I also need to be fulfilled as a mother. So I go to another church who helps me to be able to be in community with other daughters of God.
If you could say one thing about the motherhood experience and how to resource moms well, what would you say? Andrea.
I would say just the reminder that motherhood is hard and lonely, and we need the encouragement to know that what we're doing matters, and also to be seen as the leaders and influencers that we are. So just affirming that is really important.
Perfect. Lori.
I'd like to say that, I mean, it's just saying the same thing we're saying over and over again. It's this intentional community of a sisterhood that bands together and allows everybody to be messy and embrace the complications and authentic relationships that give us the opportunity to actually dig deep and tap into the fact that we can make room for Jesus. And when we do that, we're not afraid to go out and be kingdom influencers. And when a church harnesses that type of environment, man, you'll see a lot of life change.
Absolutely beautiful. Sarah?
Gosh, I wish I had 20 minutes. Let's just say that. Just
I know.
You know what? Just through being in ministry for so long and watching moms, I would definitely say, again, the stats don't lie. Moms are struggling. We are living in a culture where we are inundated with so much, and we were not designed to even have that amount of information or social media coming at us constantly. So I would just reiterate this fact that moms are hurting, they're struggling, they're numbing, they're drinking, they're dealing with anxiety and depression to heights that I never thought I would ever see. And so this is when the church needs to come alongside and grab them and say, we see you. And like we've just talked about, right? Like it's exponential evangelism. When the mom meets Jesus, it doesn't stop there. It pours out onto her kids, to her spouse. It's such a beautiful thing. I'm so passionate about it and I've seen it. And so I would just say, resource the mom, lean into the mom, create a really safe space for her on your campus.
Yeah, absolutely. Moms are worth listening to, and it is worth listening to the moms that are in your care. Aubrey, I would love to get your response to that. But first, I want to just quick plug. Aubrey is actually the author of a powerful children's book on emotions. And so Savannah is going to add a chat prompt down there so you can have a link to her book if you'd like to check it out. Aubrey, how might you have answered that last question that the panelists answered? What advice do you have to offer for resourcing moms well?
Love that question. First of all, thank you for your data in that presentation, Cicely. That was fire. And I'll
Oh,
just,
thank you.
as a mom, it was really validating. So I'm glad the research backs up what we know as moms.
Absolutely.
I think for me, one of the things that I think about is sometimes what we end up doing, and we don't mean to as pastors or church leaders, but we end up sort of making moms feel like they're outside of spiritual growth and the spiritual life because they don't have time to like get up an hour early before the kids are up and spend time with Jesus in a quiet time. And so what I would like to see the church begin to do is actually reframe motherhood itself as a spiritual discipline, like what moms are doing, caring for kids, up at night praying for them, up at night feeding them. Oftentimes the ones that are doing the laundry and the childcare and running the errands, like to me, that in and of itself is a spiritual practice. And so I would just like to see motherhood elevated in and of itself, rather than being something separate. Like spiritual formation is not separate from motherhood, or I don't think God would have designed it that way. And I think we have to be practical. That's one of the things the panelists talked about is like, if you have the resources or you've got the people, churches, church leaders, have childcare at events so moms can be there. I think that is just a simple way to show moms you see them and you care for them, and it allows them to be more involved in things that they might not otherwise be able to because they don't have access to childcare or they can't find a sitter or something like that. And then one more thing, and I promise I'll stop. I would just preach on moms in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't hear enough of those sermons, and I want to hear more of those sermons. So those are things I would say, Cicely.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
we are so excited again to be here with you today, talking about equipping moms and engaging moms in your church. And one of the best ways to make sure that you're ensuring that moms feel seen and known is, of course, to honor them on Mother's Day. And we all know there are also grieving hearts on Mother's Day. We want to honor those as well. Moms who are carrying wounds and pain. But we also want to serve moms year round. And Mother's Day, of course, is important. It's only part of what we want to do to serve moms. But because Mother's Day is so important, we mentioned earlier, we've got these free resources from the MomCo by MOPS International, and they've got something called the Mother's Day Hub. You can go to the mom.co/Mother's Day. This link will be in the chat. And I've already mentioned, Cicely, you and I watch these videos you can show to your moms on Mother's Day in your service.
Yeah.
I'm going to show at least one of them. You will be crying. The moms
Yes.
will be
Yes.
crying. There's also a devotional, there's phone backgrounds, and there's a lot more. Again, you can go to the mom.co/Mother's Day for those resources and more.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also don't want to forget to mention, like, as we did mention before, MomCo and Right Now Media, they have created a video series called Reclaiming Motherhood, Embracing the Untamed Beauty, Fun, Passion, and Vitality of Motherhood. I love that title. And the
So
hope is that, yeah, right? So good. The hope is that this series helps encourage you to equip moms and obviously engage with them in a new and more effective way. And so we're going to watch a brief video from Mary. Here, I did it again. I
you
did
put
it
her first and her
again.
last name. I like it.
Like, I mean, really, Mandy. CEO of The MomCo, about this new course.
Do you ever feel like your pilot light has gone out? Like the spark that once fueled your passion and clarity and energy has been dimmed under the mental load of motherhood? Perhaps it's the need to make 1 million decisions a day that causes you to never really feel confident or like you're doing it right. Or maybe you're in a season where you feel like you're not showing up well for yourself or others. Well, all of that is about to change, because together we are going to regain our vitality, purpose, and passion. Join me for a 6-part series as we challenge ourselves to rediscover and reclaim what motherhood was meant to be. In part 1, we'll explore the powerful question Jesus asked 7 times throughout Scripture: what do you want? In part 2, we'll ask ourselves what it looks like to find contentment in an age of anxiety. Then in part 3, we'll talk about community, because who knew adult friendships would be so complicated? Next, in part 4, we'll deep dive into our influence as moms. And then in part 5, we'll turn to Jesus to discover his unconventional formula for a meaningful life. And finally, to wrap up, in part 6, we're going to talk about how to experience more freedom and fun in our everyday lives. So here's the deal. We all know that being a mom requires courage, trust, and resilience. But here's the good news. We don't have to go it alone. That's what this small group study is all about. Going on a journey together as moms. So what do you say? Are you with me? If so, let's step into this wild adventure called motherhood together.
Okay, I am so excited about that. Somebody in the chat said this webinar is what I did not know I needed. I'm feeling that way too. I'm feeling that way too. This has been so, so good. Hey, we are really excited to spend some time with a few pastors. We're going to talk with them about how they equip and empower the moms in their midst. And so I am really, really thrilled to bring on some of my friends, author and pastor Derwin Gray, children's pastor and nonprofit founder and CEO Ubika Riddick, and Pastor Tyler Hannell. Thanks everybody for being here. Pastors, we're so excited to hear from you.
Good to be here.
Thank you. We're great. I'm excited to be here.
So excited that you're all here. I see that there's Derwin. Hi, sir. Good to have you, Pastor.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm all in my feels after listening to all this information.
I'm telling you, I think we all are. This is really, really just powerful to think about the influence of the mamas in our midst. Okay, so I want to ask each of you if there was a statistic from the presentation that jumped out at you. So, Pastor Derwin, let's start with you.
You know, I don't think there was a statistic that jumped out. I think what moved my heart the most is we know the value, we know the importance of mom, but we don't know the exact way to connect with the heart of mom. Sadly, there are some aspects of Christianity that women are kind of like second string, you know? And so the gospel changes that.
That's right.
Because in Christ, men and women are co-heirs and co-equals. And it's such a beautiful living portrait of the importance of the spiritual formation of mama, because mama has so much influence. But before the influence aspect of it, it's the imago Dei aspect that's most important. That God is infinite in power. He doesn't need us. And so he's not like, well, I'm going to save you because I just want to use you. Like he wants to love us. He wants to be with us.
So good.
And when you look at the nurturing relationship of mama with children, it's very similar to how the umbilical cord connects baby to mom. The Holy Spirit connects us to the Son, ultimately to the Father.
Mm.
And so for us at Transformation Church, we have a high view of women. We have a high view of moms because God does. And we also recognize so goes mama, so goes the family. And if we're really being like true to the Bible, if we go back to the resurrection, you know, all the men were sadly hiding. And the apostle to the apostles, Mary was like, hey, you need to know something. Um, Jesus rose from the dead.
That's right.
And so, yeah, I'm totally moved about it. I'm even thinking of ways beyond Mother's Day to continue to emphasize. But I think the ultimate thing is recognizing that women are not second string. They're not
Come
the
on.
JV, and that child rearing is not just a woman's job. It's the parent's job. But seeing all of life as worship.
Hmm.
Parenting is spiritual formation.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Pastor. Pastors and church leaders listening, I feel like Pastor Derwin just gave us all a great illustration for our sermons on Mother's Day. Umbilical cord, Holy
Sure.
Spirit. I heard that, so I think we're all going to steal that from you on
Steal
Mother's
it.
Day, Pastor Derwin. Hey, Pastor Yuvika, I want to hear from you. What stood out to you from the data?
The scary part is like, do we have to pick one statistic?
No, pick all the statistics.
Because they were all great. I think the one that's, or from a holistic standpoint, I would say that we see at the beginning of the research how influential mothers are and that it's very high. And then as we got into the questions, you know, mothers being seen, mothers being heard, mothers being connected, and how that information was pretty, high as well. Like, I am not seen, I am not heard. And so my thought process is, if this continues, how high does the beginning statistics stay? And I think what will happen is that if we don't engage moms effectively, they won't continue to be the disciples that we know they are.
Yeah.
They won't continue to be the evangelists that the statistics show that they are, because they aren't feeling heard. They aren't feeling seen. They aren't being engaged. There aren't resources, that can support them in this journey of motherhood. And so I think, the webinar and the statistics is right on time, because moms are hurting, and we see that in the data. They're fighting for a voice in their faith community, but then they're also fighting for a voice outside their faith community. And if they don't have a voice anywhere, then it's easy to just say, you know what, it's just going to be me and my family, and that's it. And we'll connect with the people who think like us, and we'll connect with the people who believe like us. And even if that is small, then that's not how we further the kingdom of God.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, thank you for saying that. That's so good. It's such a good reminder. Pastor Tyler, what about you? What stood out to you? You don't have to pick one data point since no one else did.
No, yeah, very, very similar. I think because there were so many, I'm going, okay, where do I start? Which one kind of grabbed me the most? I think the one that I wrote down was that stat. I even snapped a picture of it. It just led me to ask, okay, tell me more. But it was the one: fewer than half of mothers feel content and emotionally safe within their community. That just breaks my heart. It really does. I'm not going to cry on a Zoom call with a bunch of strangers, but that got me, that impacted me. I think so often I've got two little girls, and my wife, we joke around so much that she goes, Tyler, it's not that you're not able to watch and take care of our kids, but like, I'll be gone for 2 hours and I'll be like, hey, did the girls eat anything while I was gone? And I'll be like, they didn't ask. They didn't. She goes, yeah, they're not, like, you gotta. And I think we just have this natural responsibility that moms are constantly nurturing, constantly feeding, constantly. And you cannot give what you do not have. And so if their cup is constantly being poured out for their kids and constantly being poured out for people around them, but we're not making sure that they're emotionally safe and content and fulfilled, eventually that's going to run out. And so I think for me, that was the one where I looked at it and I go, okay, I want to dig into that one specifically and say, tell me more. Where's that coming from?
So yeah, it's so good. It's so hard to be a mom. By the way, I think everyone in the chat wants to see you cry. Tyler. So you just, it's a
It
safe
won't be
space
hard.
here. Safe
Being a
space here.
dad has made me all emotional. I got 2 little girls. I
Oh
feel all the
man,
feelings now.
you're in your dad feelings. Okay, Pastor Yuvika, another question for you. The subtitle for today's webinar is the evangelism strategy no one is talking about, but should be. What are your thoughts on that in general, just like moms as the evangelism strategy?
I think this is great. Like that, this is a strategy we should be talking about because we see that they have the most influence, not only in their home, but outside their home. Because they're connecting on social media, even in the information that Cicely shared, we are, and I'm a mom, so I'm a girl mom, and she's the only girl. But I go to my mom friends for referrals for like who has the sale today or this week, what grocery store, you know what I mean? Or where are the kids' clothes on sale, or how are you doing? And so just helping moms empower them to be evangelists, not only in their homes, but in the people that they meet at the grocery store, in the person that they're talking to while they're waiting in line to, for whatever. But how do we equip mothers to be effective evangelists? And I think that is the question. What do they need to, again, promote the kingdom further, but still at the same time help them understand that they are an important part of the message. That yes, your job is not just to tell others about Jesus, but your job is also to reflect Jesus, right? So I reflect Jesus in my interaction with my kids and my spouse, or I reflect Jesus in my interaction with my community, my faith community. I reflect Jesus wherever I go. And on those days when I don't, or when I feel like I can't, I have other people around me to remind me that, yes, I can reflect Jesus even when I don't feel like it.
Oh, it's so good. Thank you for that. Yuvika, I'm going to ask you one more question and then I'll turn it back over to Derwin and Tyler. But if you're sitting down with a pastor, offering them some advice, and this pastor wants to activate moms like you were just talking about to be evangelists in their homes, in their communities, in their churches, where they're shopping, where they're out and about, what's a piece of advice that you might give to a pastor?
Are you listening to them? That's the easiest one.
Yeah.
What is their most what is the one thing they need most? And that's easy. You can do a panel, you can do a survey, you can and then create programming around that. Not just say, okay, I hear you, so we're going to do what I think I want to do, even though I'm not a mom. But no, I hear that you want resources around finances. I hear that you want resources around mental health. What does this look like? And then do it, right? So here, create strategy programming, and then do it, implement it. And even if you don't know what you're doing, empower the moms to do it because they know, right? And so that is another way to pull them into your faith community. It's like, you know what? I'm not quite sure what this looks like, but I will be more than happy to partner with you and we can do this together. So now you're gaining, understanding on what moms need, and moms are being empowered to provide resources around what they need.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Do it. Do it. That's good advice right there. All right. Pastors Derwin and Tyler, this is for both of you, but we'll start with you, Tyler. You're pastor of a local congregation. Can you talk to us about how you're equipping and supporting moms well? And if you want to be vulnerable, like maybe an area of struggle or growth that you'd be willing to talk about too.
Yeah, I'll be honest, because if my wife watches this later, she'll know there's plenty of places you could grow, Tyler. I can help you find those. No, as I was thinking about this question and preparing for today, I think the two big areas for me to consider is number one, just considering your systems within the church. I think the natural reaction when we see these stats, we go, okay, we need to do more. We need to make more programs for moms. But I'm going, we have a Mother's Day. Mother's Day is a program. But if you just have a great Mother's Day Sunday, that's not enough to support moms. And so I think sometimes we think, oh, we'll create a program or a Mother's Day out or a Mother's we'll create a program, and that's how we address the need for moms. And I don't think it's a program to fix it. I think it's a way of life in your church. And so just some things that we're by no means are we doing this perfectly, but things that we've asked the question of going, hey, when we call meetings or gatherings of any kind, just for the church, what time are we having those meetings? Are they during nap time? Are they during bedtimes? Because most likely moms are not going to be able to show up, or both parents aren't going to be able to show up because somebody's got to put the kids down. And so, sometimes we just go, well, that's just a season of life. When the kids get older, then they can come back to the meetings. And I'm going, moms can't wait till the kids are like, 15 watching themselves to miss out on meetings, right? And so consider your systems, how we do things, not just what we're doing, but how we do them. Number two is remove the obstacles. So I think someone said it earlier, is like offering childcare. When I first came on our eldership team at Northlands, we were just an older demographic of leaders. And then my wife and I, we kind of became the younger couple. We had our first daughter. But now, most recently, last 3 years, I think we have, I don't even know, there's probably 10 or 15 households that have young babies and kids. And so we really started seeing attendance of both husband and wife elders not being able to come to the meetings because somebody's staying there. And so we just realized, hey, if we're going to call an elder meeting, that comes at a cost now. We're going to pay for childcare workers to come into our classrooms, watch the kids for an hour, hour and a half while we have our meeting, so that both the mom and the dad can participate in those spaces. And so there's some cost to it. And then the other one is we just kind of made it the common practice culture of support. So like when we do have a women's conference or we do have a mom's conference, we say, hey, it's not just like the moms or the women booking their calendars. Husbands, show up. You've got the kids. You're taking care of them. And I think back to the obstacles. My wife and I, when we did some marriage therapy sessions, and we were talking about how to keep the romance alive, and going, hey, once we're done talking about how the church is doing and how our kids are doing, what do we talk about and how do we prepare for dates? And I'm like, I'm doing my job. I'm putting on fresh cologne. I'm wearing a nice suit. I'm even maybe making the reservations. And I go, so babe, like, what are you doing? And I was like, you got to get ready too. And she goes, yeah, I've got to get ready, put on the makeup. I have to organize the babysitter. I have to make sure that the kids eat food before the babysitter gets there. Yes. I have to lay out the pajamas so that the babysitters come there, and then I get to go. And so I like process all that, and I go, our girls wear pajamas? I didn't even realize that was a thing. And so just realizing that there are certain obstacles that we have to remove. And so we just engage our husbands. Husbands, remove the obstacles so that your wives can come, the moms can come and be fresh and equipped. So that's number one, is just the systems. And then the second one is empowering women in ministry. I think it might have been a pastor that I followed. His name's Craig Groeschel, and he talks about delegation of tasks and empowering with authority. He says, if you delegate tasks to people, you'll make followers, but if you delegate authority, you'll make leaders. And so it's not just enough that we engage moms in our churches to do certain things around the church, but we actually empower them with authority to lead in spaces. And so, and I know we have different maybe backgrounds listening in, so I don't want to push on areas of where we believe women should be in leadership and all that kind of stuff. But Romans 16 for me is just filled with a bunch of women who are leading in the church. You had my dear sister Phoebe, a great deacon among you. You had Androgenus, I believe, in Junia, great among the apostles. You had Mary, you had Priscilla and Aquila. Priscilla was the teacher of the two. And so these are women who are leading with authority. And so I think to treat them in a way that's not just, oh, you're a mom, but when you pull back I think, again, the word was holistic. When you take the kids away, who's standing before you? There's a woman who has gifting and leadership and capacity. And I think that's where you get down to the identity of who somebody is. When people recognize that I am a father, but they also expect me to be a leader and a pastor. So you take my kids away and they go, hey, Tyler still has something to bring. Same for your wives and your moms. When you take away the kids, God forbid something happens to them, but your identity is not in your role or your position, even if it's a sacred one like motherhood. If you take the kids away, who is this person? Whoever that person is, empower them and lead them and get them leading within the church. So the two things is consider your systems and then consider empowering leadership. And here's the great thing, whether you're a big church or a small church, that stuff is free. That's just putting your systems right there. I didn't say start a program, pour more money in. Consider the systems and empower the women in your church. So
thanks for that, Pastor Tyler. Such a good word. Pastor Derwin, we'll actually end with you. Kind of the same thing. Like, what is your church doing well? Where do you think you need to grow? Or just any general advice you'd give to church leaders?
Yeah, I think number one, starting with a philosophy of ministry, right? So Before a mother is a mother, she's number one, because of the gospel, a beloved child of God. She is a disciple, an apprentice of Jesus, learning through the Holy Spirit's power to be conformed to the image of Jesus. She is a kingdom ambassador. So that's who mom is. Her primary identity is a beloved child of God, disciple, kingdom ambassador. So we have to begin at that place. And what we have at Transformation Church is what we call the 5 characteristics of a disciple. All of life is worship, including parenting. And if I could just pause here. So my daughter is 27, my son is 23. So I got some grown people. And my wife and I, throughout the years, we've learned to communicate. And I would say one of the biggest discipleship shifts we have to have is it is not mom's job to raise the children. It is mom and dad's privilege to raise the children. My children come to me for different things. They come to mom for different things. My daughter knows she has me wrapped around her finger. Whatever she asks for, it's yes. So if it's money, she knows to call me, right? So I think we need to talk about the spiritual formation that as dad, I need to be in tune to when my kids need to eat and those things. There needs to be a robust conversation. So worship, all of life is worship, to connect. We want women to connect. One of the things that we say at our church is we want our small groups to be multi-generational. We think it's important for young moms to be around grandmas. So grandmas can say, baby, let me tell you what it was like. Yes. Let me give you those experiences, right? And important for young men to be with older men to learn as well, to serve. And I think this is really, really important, is that for the people without children to serve people with children, particularly people with gray hair. What we say is you don't retire, you refire. We need you in the nursery so mom and dad can pour into their kids, so mom can pour into their kids. One of the things about contemporary culture is families don't live together anymore. So back in the day, 50, 60 years ago, you had multiple family members that could help. Well, today that has to be the church. So the 5 characteristics: give and to live and inviting life. That other mothers are evangelists. Like my wife, Vicky, she's not only a great church leader, great communicator, scholar. She's an incredible mom, but she's also an incredible evangelist and discipler. Right. So women are the tip of the spear in a very unique way for evangelism, not only in the home, but outside of the home. And if I could say one last thing, and I agree with all of the pragmatics with babysitting and those things, from a philosophical, theological perspective, seeing women as equals and equally called to the great commandment and the great commission through the great grace of God. I think sometimes we as pastors get so pragmatic that we end up doing more harm than good, because we're like, hey, we're a mom, you're a mom, and we're going to tailor a message just for you, quote unquote, as a mom, instead of a beloved disciple of Jesus, who's an ambassador of the kingdom, who's sealed and filled with the Holy Spirit's power, who has a unique and beautiful role in this world.
Come on. Oh, so good. Hey, you are all amazing pastors. I want to sit under all of your leadership. Thanks to the panelists for being here. We really appreciate your wisdom. Thanks to everybody for joining us today. Cicely and I want to remind you to be sure to check out the course Reclaiming Motherhood. It's available right now on Right Now Media. And some of you are asking in the chat, there will be a follow-up email with a replay and more info on all the resources. So thanks everybody so much for being here. This was amazing. Panelists, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.